global preeminence of English, often termed the lingua franca of the 21st century, has given rise to a dizzying array of learning environments. While both English as a second language ESL and English as a foreign language EFL ultimately share the goal of proficiency, they represent two fundamentally distinct educational and social contexts. The difference between ESL and EFL is not merely geographical, rather, it hinges on the linguistic ecology of the community, the availability of authentic input, and the learner's underlying motivational framework. Grasping this dichotomy is crucial for educators, policymakers, and material developers to design programs that are effective, relevant, and supportive of learner goals. Defining the linguistic ecology. The most significant and foundational distinction lies in the role English plays within the surrounding society, the linguistic ecology. In the ESL context, English is the dominant or official language of the country or region. Learners are situated in an environment where English is essential for daily navigation and survival. Classic examples include immigrants and refugees studying English in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, or Australia. However, the ESL label also applies to post-colonial contexts where English serves as the language of government, higher education, the judiciary, and interethnic communication, such as in India, Singapore, Nigeria, or the Philippines. In these settings, English is truly a second language, a required, functional tool for integration, academic achievement, and socioeconomic mobility within the immediate community. Learners are compelled to use English outside the classroom to perform vital real-world tasks, such as shopping, visiting a doctor, interacting with government services, or applying for jobs. The pervasive nature of English ensures that the learning process is continuous and extends far beyond scheduled class time. Conversely, the EFL context describes situations where English holds no official status and is not the medium of communication in the local community. Examples are vast and include settings like Japan, Brazil, France, South Korea, and most of continental Europe. Here, English is unequivocally a foreign language. Its presence is confined almost exclusively to the classroom, perhaps augmented by digital media, but it is rarely heard or utilized in local streets, markets, or bureaucratic offices. Learners typically use their native language, L1, for all daily interactions, meaning the target language exists primarily as an academic subject, much like chemistry or history. The only time learners are required to communicate in English is during class, a school assignment, or perhaps while consuming media. This profound lack of external validation and required use creates steep challenges for maintaining fluency and for achieving the practical mastery necessary for global communication. Access, authenticity, and the role of input. The nature and volume of linguistic input available to the learner critically differentiates these two contexts, having immense implications for the acquisition process. In an ESL environment, the learner is immersed in a continuous stream of authentic linguistic data. This includes spontaneous, unscripted conversations, colloquialisms, native speaker pacing, idiomatic expressions, cultural nuances displayed in public signs. Television news and radio broadcasts. The input is unedited, highly contextualized, and often messy, which accelerates the development of pragmatic competence and fluency. A learner's error correction is frequently organic, delivered through communication breakdown rather than explicit instruction. Crucially, the ESL student's primary challenge shifts quickly from understanding the language to using the language effectively within complex social and cultural parameters. This environment naturally fosters fluency, even if initial grammatical accuracy is sacrificed. In sharp contrast, the EFL environment suffers from a severe input deficit. The primary and often sole source of English is the teacher and the textbook. While modern technology like the internet has mitigated this somewhat, the vast majority of learner input is artificially constrained, often simplified, grammatically structured, and focused on target vocabulary units. The input, while structured for clear comprehension, often lacks the spontaneous variety and sociocultural depth necessary for true communicative competence. As a result, EFL learners may develop excellent grammatical knowledge, accuracy, but struggle immensely with the pace, intonation, and unpredictable nature of real-time authentic conversation, fluency, and pragmatic competence. The EFL teacher bears the heavy burden of manufacturing an English-speaking environment inside the four walls of the classroom, a task that is pedagogically demanding and often insufficient. Learner motivation and goal orientation. The psychological drivers behind learning are fundamentally different in ESL and EFL settings, leading to divergent curriculum design needs. This distinction is often analyzed through Gardner's dichotomy of integrative and instrumental motivation. ESL learners are typically driven by a powerful integrative motivation. Their goal is often to become a functional, integrated member of the new linguistic and cultural community. Learning English is inextricably linked to identity change, successful settlement, and the ability to forge social relationships with native speakers. The motivation is immediate, high stakes, and deeply personal. A failure to learn the language can result in social isolation, limited employment opportunities, and difficulty accessing basic services. The learning objective is therefore holistic. The learner seeks to master not just the phonology and morphology, but the entire sociolinguistic framework, including nonverbal cues and cultural norms, to facilitate assimilation and build a new life. EFL learners are predominantly motivated instrumentally. Their goals are often external to their immediate social environment and centered on specific, measurable, and future-oriented outcomes. These goals include passing an international proficiency exam like TOEFL or IELTS, gaining admission to a foreign university, securing a promotion at an international company, or simply traveling abroad. While a desire for cultural connection exists, the immediate, existential pressure to communicate is absent. The curriculum, therefore, often reflects these instrumental goals, prioritizing reading comprehension for academic texts, specialized writing for standardized tests, and vocabulary related to global commerce, sometimes at the expense of dynamic conversational skills. Divergent pedagogical approaches. Given the differences in input, context, and motivation, the most effective teaching methodologies must also diverge significantly. ESL pedagogy strongly favors communicative language teaching (CLT) and task-based language teaching (TBLT). Since learners are in an immersion environment, the classroom can be leveraged as a safe place to practice the real-world tasks they face outside. Curriculum units are often organized around functional, survival-oriented themes: setting up a bank account, filling out a job application, navigating public transport, or responding to a neighbor's complaint. Error correction tends to be more judicious, focusing on errors that impede communication rather than those that merely violate a grammatical rule. Fluency and effective communication are prioritized, and class materials heavily utilize authentic documents, videos, and speech samples directly sourced from the local environment. EFL pedagogy, while increasingly adopting CLT principles, often remains anchored to more traditional, structure-based methodologies due to the acute lack of authentic input. The focus is often on explicit, detailed grammar explanations, deductive teaching, vocabulary drills, and extensive practice with textbook dialogues, striving for accuracy to succeed in high-stakes testing. The pedagogical challenge is creating meaningful, communicative activities when the target language has no inherent meaning or function outside the class structure. Therefore, EFL classes must often utilize more creative techniques, such as role-playing, simulations, and technology-mediated interactions, like video conferencing with native speakers or virtual reality environments, to artificially compensate for the missing immersion. Teacher roles and competencies. The profile and necessary competencies of the ideal teacher also vary widely, particularly concerning native versus non-native speaker status. In the ESL classroom, the teacher acts as a crucial cultural mediator and guide. While linguistic expertise is paramount, the ability to interpret and explain local culture, social nuances, and pragmatic rules, example, how to politely disagree in a work meeting, is equally vital. Native English-speaking teachers, nests, are often sought after for the authentic cultural context and dialectical expertise they bring, especially in highly diverse ESL settings where students need to quickly adapt to local pronunciation and social linguistic norms. Their role is less about conveying grammar rules and more about facilitating interaction and correcting miscommunication arising from cultural misunderstandings. In the EFL classroom, the non-native English-speaking teacher, NNEST, often possesses unique compelling advantages. The NNEST has personally traveled the path of the learner. They understand the specific interference errors caused by the student's shared L1, can articulate complex grammatical concepts in the L1 when necessary, and provide a strong role model of successful language acquisition. Their credibility as grammatical experts is often extremely high. While native speakers are valued for accent and fluency, the NNEST's ability to act as a bridge between the L1 and L2 and their profound understanding of the specific curriculum's testing requirements often make them highly effective, placing the pedagogical emphasis on explicit structural knowledge. The differentiation between ESL and EFL contexts is a cornerstone of modern language planning. It is a dichotomy defined by external factors, the ubiquity of English in the student's daily life, the volume and authenticity of available linguistic input, and the immediacy of the need to use the language. The ESL learner is engaged in a holistic process of integration and identity shift, necessitating communicative, task-based curricula aimed at fluency and cultural competence. The EFL learner is engaged in a structured, instrumental endeavor, often requiring accuracy-focused, grammar-heavy instruction aimed at exam success and future opportunity. By recognizing these profound differences, educators can move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach and tailor language programs that genuinely meet the diverse needs and aspirations of the world's English language learners. The future of effective global language education depends on this contextual sensitivity.